And all the people said amen. It's another day's journey, and I'm glad about it. But it's not because of something I've done. It's not because of something I didn't do. But it is by the grace of God I made it. And it's by His grace I'll continue to make it. I cannot make it without the grace of God. Giving honor to Pastor Walker, to all of these, my fellow preachers of the gospel, to the deacons and officers of this great church, visiting officers if there be any, to First Lady Walker, to all of you, my brothers and sisters in Christ. Again, it is good to be here. We thank God for giving us just one more day to come to His house just to praise His name. For again, I must bear record that there is no greater name to be praised than that of the name of Jesus. For it is still in the text tonight, at the name of Jesus, every knee must bow and every tongue must confess. Give this choir and praise dancers a great big hand for blessing us and leading us into worship on tonight and doing a marvelous and a wonderful job. We thank God for each and every one of you here tonight, all of you that have took the time out of your schedule to come and worship and share and fellowship in this revival here at Cherry Grove, and we're excited of being here. Thank God for all of these preachers. Give them a great big hand for sharing with us on tonight. My own cousin, Pastor Clayton, and then I have two cousins here, Lena and Wendy. Thank God for them being here on tonight. I told you on last night that this is nothing but family within my church family, that is on every side, the Chapman side with Charlie Lee, that's cousin and more brother than he is cousin, on the Mitchell side, and then with my nephew Darius and his wife, even on my wife's side, the Mosley side. I can't help but to call Cherry Grove family. So we're blessed to be here again on tonight. Come with me tonight to the Gospel according to John. Chapter 5. John chapter 5, I want to commence reading at verse number 6 on a few of the following verses. John chapter 5, commencing with verse 6. There you will find these words. When Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. Thank you. You may be seated. Tell your neighbor tonight, it's going to get better. Sometimes you can feel like you're just in a rut. You can feel like that you're just spinning wheels and not getting anywhere. You can feel like that you're trying your best to make things better in your life, but not only is it not getting better, it's not even getting worse. Look like life is just in a rut. Look like the more and more you try to figure it out, the more conversations and counseling you receive, the more and more you try to apply what others have advised you to do, look like you're still in the same situation. Life is just in a rut. And the thing about trouble, that it is true what the old church taught us by way of melody, that trouble don't last always. But the one thing they did not tell us, they did not tell us how long trouble will last. And sometimes you don't get over it overnight. Sometimes it's not a few days. Sometimes it's not a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Sometimes look like every morning you wake up to the same trouble. Have to deal with the whole day with the same burden. Go to bed at night with the same problem that you had, that you woke up with in the morning. Woke up the next day and the same trouble that met you on yesterday is waiting on you today. Look like you go through year after year. The preacher and prosperity prophet is busy trying to tell you how things are coming and how things are going to get better and look better within your life, but look like he's missing everybody but not hitting you. Look like every time you turn around, somebody is telling you that things are about to change, things are about to look up, but look like every time you look around, you're in the same sad scenario. Look like every time you turn around, it ain't going to get any better. But I got good news for somebody tonight. If you can just hold on a little while, if you can just make it through whatever you're making it through, and here's the thing that you're missing on the night, maybe he hadn't made it better, maybe he hadn't changed it, but every morning that you wake up, you're still making it. Tell your neighbor, I'm making it. Maybe you're still sick, but you're making it. Maybe you're still broke, but you're making it. Maybe you're still talked about, but you're making it. Maybe you're still trouble at the house, but you're making it. Maybe they're still raising hell at church, but you're making it. If the Lord keep waking me up every morning, if I can't shout about nothing else, I made it through one more 24-hour interval, I'm making it. In this text, we find a man that had the same infirmity for 38 years. The text does not say that he had been at the pool for 38 years, but he had been in this infirmity for 38 years. I don't know when he got to the pool, Pastor Walker, but I do know he showed up at the right day, at the right time to run into Jesus. Here we go again. I think I need to tell somebody that missed it last night, let me tell it to you again, that every now and then you just need to follow where life is taking you, and sometimes it's not taking you to a twist or a toil, it's putting you in a position that you can get what God got in store for you, that when God gets you at the right place at the right time with the right problem, he'll turn your problem into a praise. He'll turn your tragedy into your triumph. He'll turn your valley into your mountaintop. He'll turn your tears into a shout. If you just get at the right place, God will make it better. The text says he was at the pool. Jesus came through the temple, through the marketplace, got to the pool of Bethesda, and saw him. Tell your neighbor, he saw me. Now here's the thing you ought to shout about sometime. God is not a general God, which means that he does not just do everything for everybody. Some of us have some testimonies that we can say, that the sinner can say, that he woke me up this morning, he did that for them. He clothed them in their right mind just like he did us. He let them have clothes on their back, shoes on their feet, bread on the table, roof over their head. But it's some things in my life they can't talk about. It's some testimonies I have that forget the sinner, the next saint next to me ain't got my story. Tell your neighbor, you don't have my story. You may have your own story. You may have your own scenario. You may have your own situation. But the uniqueness about the Almighty is that God got a way of blessing me, and when I tell my story, I can tell it with testimony that he did it just for me. If you look in the text, he wasn't the only one at the pool sick. Matter of fact, everybody at the pool was sick, but for some reason he saw him. You ain't catching the shout yet. There was halt folks there, blind people there, withered people there, but the man can testify for some reason he laid his eyes on me. I'm talking to somebody in here that's a part of my crowd that can testify that every now and then you ought to just shout when you think about where the Lord delivered you from, where the Lord found you at, where the Lord brought you out of. You knew that you wasn't the only one in that club. You wasn't the only one that was on those streets. You wasn't the only one living like you were living, but for some reason or another, he walked right past them and put his eyes on you. I can't be the only one in here that can testify. You at some places in your life right now that you know somebody else could have had it, but the only reason you got it is because for some reason or another, the Lord saw you. Reason why you riding in what you riding in. It was 30 folks looked at that car before you did, but the Lord didn't let them get it, but because he had his eyes on you. The reason why they couldn't get the loan approval, the reason why the mortgage company wouldn't give them the answer is because it wasn't their house. The Lord had his eye on you. There were other people that applied for the job that were more qualified than you, more educated than you, had more connections than you, and the reason why they didn't get it is because God had his eye on you. There were some people that's in the grave right now that wasn't as sick as you got, and they dead, you will. It's because the Lord saw you. He saw him and he knew him. The text says he understood how long he had been in that case. Tell your neighbor he understands. And look like nobody else can figure it out. Maybe you ain't been where I've been before. It's been some times to where look like you can explain what you're going through, but they ain't really catching what you're going through. Maybe been some time to where you can try to explain it, can't even find the word to get it out right to how you really feel. Look like nobody really understands. You can tell your wife, you can tell your husband how you feel. Look like they ain't getting it. You can tell your children what's going on inside of you. Look like they can't figure it out. You can even come and tell your pastor. He'll tell you he gonna pray for you, but look like he ain't really catching what you're trying to tell her. You can tell family members and loved ones and blood and brothers of what you're going through, but look like they ain't really understanding, and look like some people don't even care about what you're going through. But I like what the old church taught me. When the world seemed cold and your friends are few, there is someone who cares for you. He'll come down from the sky, wipe the tear from your eye. He loves you and he cares for you. And thank God Almighty, he didn't tell me I had a whole crowd. They didn't tell me I had a crew waiting on me. It ain't a multitude, but I got someone to care. I got someone to share. Tell your neighbor, I got someone. I got somebody that understands what I'm going through. And since he understands this, Reverend Clayton, he did not look at it just to take observation. But sometimes my agony is his opportunity. Let me say it again. Sometimes my agony is his opportunity. He lets me get where I am so he can show how strong he is to get me out of it. Because even though he blessed the man, he proved what he could do to everybody else that was at the pool. So if you look at it, the man moved from God's tragedy to God's trophy. You ain't catching me yet. Sometime God will let you get to where you at and let everybody see you get there, and he'll let you get there and then show up while you're there in order to get you out, and he'll turn your tragedy so you can be his trophy. Therefore, when everybody else look at you after then, they'll know that God did it for you. You ain't catching me yet. Every time you look at a trophy, you know how you won it. Every time you look at a championship ring, Pastor Walker, you remember how you won it, and your trophy becomes your testimony of the battle that you went through in order to get the trophy. I'm talking to somebody in here right now. You're not the world's tragedy. You God's trophy. You ain't a tragedy. You a trophy of what God can do without everybody else. Every now and then, God got to let you get in agony in order for him to have an opportunity. Since I'm the one in agony, since I'm the one hurting, since I'm the one that's been here a long time, how do I make sure that it gets better this time? 3 things I need to tell you. First of all, don't miss the moment of your miracle. He saw him, he knew him, but then he asked him, wilt thou be made whole? Now here's the thing. He was standing in the man's presence, asking him about his future. You missed that right there. He was standing in the man's presence, asking him about his future. He asked him, wilt thou be made whole? That's future tense. In other words, he really doesn't care about where you are. He's concerned about, do you want to go where I can take you? Tell your neighbor, don't miss your moment. God got an opportunity for you, but you can't be worried about where you are. You got to grasp where God is trying to take you, because where I am is only temporary. I know it's 38 years. I know he's been there a long time, but let me help you out. Soon as he got up, got the bed on his shoulder, and got to walking, he turned permanent prison into a temporary pain. But you got to figure out, if you just hold out a little while, what look like gonna stay with you forever, God can turn it into a temporary moment. But don't you turn your temporary into permanent because you missed the moment of your miracle that God got in store for you. Because can I warn somebody? When you stay there too long, your burden can make you bitter. And you won't only be bitter to man, you'll be bitter with God. Because sometimes when the Lord show up, give you your moment, instead of rejoicing, instead of grabbing it, you want to tell him what took you so long. Am I talking to somebody in here? Quit being holy on me tonight. Take your whole halo off your hat. Take it off. Put it on the nearest hook. Pick it up on the way out the door. Get off your holy horse. Come down here to the gritty ground with the rest of her, and just be honest with her every now and then. When the Lord send you a blessing, sometimes you don't shout. You wondering what took him so long. This ain't the first day you've been calling it. This ain't the first day you've been waiting on it. Didn't you see me go through all of this that I've been through? What took you so long? And then he had the audacity to bless somebody else with the same thing that you've been asking him for, and they ain't even as holy as you are. They don't go to church like you. They don't shout like you. They don't read the Bible like you. They don't pray like you. They don't go like you. They don't love like you. They don't forgive like you, and look like they got it already, and you still waiting on it. And don't let your moment be missed because you're bitter because you ain't got it yet. Can I help somebody here? Don't miss the moment of your miracle, because it's not that you wasn't supposed to get it. He had to get you ready for it. Tell your neighbor you're not ready yet. The reason why you hadn't got it yet is not because you're being punished. You're still being prepared. Reason why you ain't got it yet is not because God is trying to destroy you. He's still developing you. Because let me say it my way. He can't give you a Mercedes miracle when you still got a Mercury mentality. He can't give you $1 million blessing when you still got a poor man's mouth. You gotta let him get you ready for what he got in store for you. If you let me use my Baptist gospel sanctified Holy Ghost imagination, I just believe that the man had to go through what he went through because it shows where he went to when God did bless him. When the Lord blessed him that day, he got up and went to church. I just believe in my own personal theological philosophy. If the Lord would have blessed him earlier, he would have got up and went somewhere else other than church. The reason why he ain't blessed you yet is because your spirit ain't right yet. If you get it right now, instead of going to your heart, it's going to go to your head. When you get it right now, you make it bigger than the one who gave it to you. When you get it right now, you're going to cherish the gift more than you do your God. If you get it right now, you're going to treat that little baby like they little Jesus Jr. If you get it right now, you're going to act like the job is everything. Now, you're going to drive it to the club, you're going to drive it to the football game, you're going to drive it to the casino, but you ain't going to drive it to church till 3 months from now. It's because you're going to be too busy making road trips until pulling up in the parking lot of the house of the Lord and telling him thank you. The reason why you ain't got it yet is because you ain't ready for it yet. It ain't that he ain't going to give it to you. You got to wait for your moment of miracle when God said, now you're ready. Let me say it another way. When I was a little boy growing up, I was asking my father for some money to go to the football game that Friday. And my daddy knew I had some of my mama in me. And my mama didn't have quite good value of money. And so instead of just giving it to me when I asked for it, he said, well, if you really want it, you got to do some stuff for it. And I wanted to go to the ball game real bad that Friday because it was homecoming. And so whatever Daddy told me to do, I quickly after school went and did it. He told me to go chop some wood, put some in the house, put some on the porch, have something ready for Mama when we're going to school and going to work. I quickly did it, ran back to Daddy, told Daddy I did it. He looked at me and said, you ain't ready yet. That next day when I got home, he told me to rake the yard. I raked the yard as much as I could, put everything in a pile. After I put it in a pile, he told me, I'm going to burn this. You take this, put it in the trash bag. I'm going to throw that part away. After I did all of that night, I went to Daddy while he was laying on the couch. I said, Daddy, I finished all of it. He looked at me and said, you ain't ready yet. He said next day, he sent me in the shed. When I got in the shed, he had me to get up all his tools, clean up all the tools, pull them in the proper place. Some of the stuff that I placed out of place, I did it my own self, so he made me put it back where I got it from. After I cleaned up that part, told me to go get some stuff that was in it, put it all in a pile and get it out the way so he could get some work done. After I did all of that, came to Daddy that night. Daddy looked at me and said, you ain't ready yet. By the time I got to Friday and I walked in the house, he said, what about your money? I said, Daddy, it really don't matter no more. What you need me to do, if you want me to do something, I'll do it. I ain't really studying going to the game. If you just tell me to do it, I'll do it, Daddy. Because you want me to do it, I'll make sure I do it. The game really ain't that important. I just want to make sure that I do whatever you ask me to do and make sure you and Mama happy. He looked at me and said, now you're ready. You ain't catching me yet. I had to go through what I went through in order to understand the right mentality, in order to get it when I got it. Because if I would have got it on Monday, I would have got it and ran with it. But when Daddy gave it to me, dropped me off at the gate, I looked at Daddy and said, thank you, Daddy. That's because he knew after I went through what I went through in order to get it, now you're ready. I'm talking to somebody in here. If he give it to you right now, you take it for granted. But when he let you go through what you went through in order to get it, you gonna tell him thank you. That's when you're gonna be ready. Don't miss the moment of your miracle. But then, secondly, you have to let go of disappointments. He said in verse 7, sir, I have no man to help me when the water is trouble to put me in the pool. And before I can get in it, somebody always step in front of me. You missing the text. I told you in verse 6, he was standing in the man's presence, asking him about his future. The man in verse 7 was laying in his presence, talking about his past. You ain't catching me right there. In verse 6, Jesus was standing in his presence, asking him about his future. In verse 7, the man was laying in his presence, talking about his past. And many times, you can't get to your future because you yet to let go of your past. Tell your neighbor that's in the past. Let the wounds go. Let the hurt go. Let all the bad moments promise go, that's in the past, and I got to get to where I'm going, because I refused yesterday to let me miss to my tomorrow, because I can't let go of it today. I gotta let go of disappointments. He talked about, Reverend Sutton, his failures. And not only did he talk about his failures, he talked about the ones who caused it. The reason why sometimes you can't grasp what's in front of you is because you hadn't let go of who's behind you. Let me say it so you can catch me. The reason why you keep looking over Mr. Right is because you still mad at Mr. Wrong. The reason why you ain't treating the godly woman right is because you still got walls up from the gold digger. The reason why you got a wall up for a real friend is because you were broken up by the wrong friend. The reason why you can't accept what God is doing for you in this church is because you still got scars from what the devil did to you at the other church. And sometime in order for you to get things better, you gotta let go of the past. You can't keep holding on to it. And then the man didn't know who he was talking to. How do I know it? It's in the text. He didn't say Jesus. He didn't say Master. He didn't say Son of David. He said Sir. In other words, he was being mannerable, but didn't know he was talking to the Master. There are some people that come to church and you hear the Lord talking to you and you don't really know who's talking to you. Because if you knew who was talking to you, you wouldn't waste time trying to talk back to him. If he knew it was Jesus, only thing he would have said was yes. But because he thought it was just a man, he had to tell him, I've tried it before and it hadn't worked out then. Why you think it's going to work out now? Sometimes you need to quit telling God where you've been, and you need to start thanking God for where he's trying to take you. Whatever's behind you, tell your neighbor it's behind you. Let the wound go. Let the hurt go. Everything what you got to understand. I know we like to say we forgive and forget. I ain't figured that out yet. It's because I forgave him, but I ain't forgot it yet. But here's the thing. I got to turn my fatality into my favor. The thing that I really trying to hold and make me bitter, I ought to testify about it, and it ought to make me better. In other words, I ain't mad at them no more. I really thank God for them. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be who I am right now. You ought to thank those ones that took you down. Thank those ones that dug ditches for you. If they wouldn't have dug the ditch, you wouldn't have known that the Lord could have crossed them. Thank God for the one that put the river in front of you. If it wasn't for the river, you didn't know the Lord could have swam you over it. Thank God for the one that put the mountain in your way. If it wasn't for the mountain, you wouldn't have known that God could tunnel you through it. Thank God for the ones that lied on you. You wouldn't have never known God could straighten the lie and turn it into a testimony. Thank God for the sickness. If it wasn't for the bad doctor, you wouldn't have known what kind of doctor Jesus really was. It's because you had to go through the bad in order to make it to the good. And let it go. Am I talking to somebody in here? I know it was rough the last time. I'm trying to quit. I know it didn't work out the last time. I know it was hard the last time. But don't miss the text. The man said, I don't have anyone to help me get in the pool when the water is troubled. And when I try to get in the pool, somebody steps in front of me. You ain't catching the text. The last time he tried it, he did it himself. this time God said, I'm going to do it for you. Because why you need the pool when the power is standing in front of you? Why you need Bethesda when the blesser is standing in front of you? I'm talking to somebody right now. Before you put your wall up, put your blockade up, put your barriers up, and say you'll never go down that road again, you'll never try that again, you'll never do that ever again. You just think back and look at it real clearly. The last time you tried it, it was your idea. This time you tried it, it's God's command. And when it's your idea, you got to do it. When it's God's command, he already worked it out for you. The reason why I know it's going to get better is because I ain't by myself this time. The Lord is doing it for me. Last time you walked down the aisle, the Lord wasn't even in the building, let alone in the marriage. This time you're doing it, and the Lord sent the right one to you. Last time you went and found a job, you just wanted a check. This time you got a job, and the Lord trying to give you a career. Last time you had one, you were working for somebody else. Now God giving you the vision to have your own business. You got to follow God, because if you don't do it by yourself, things gonna get better. Because with man it is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Tell your neighbor, let him do it. I'm stopping there. Thirdly and lastly, now I find that you, but to get better, that you don't need to miss your moment of miracle. That you need to let go of disappointment. But then lastly, you need to receive his mercy. In verse 7, he said his past. In verse 8, God blessed him in his present to change his future. But if you look in verse 7, he never answered the question. He gave a confession about why he wasn't whole, but he never told the Lord he want to be whole. But the Lord run flowers, blessed him anyway. You didn't catch your shout right there, didn't you? Maybe you ain't like me and this man at the pool of Bethesda, that everything you got, you asked him for. Everything you know you needed, you already put your request in and let it be known unto God. Everything that you saw that you needed in your future and in your present, you made your own supplication. Well, I can't say that. There's some stuff that he gave me I didn't ask for. He just gave it anyway. There's some stuff he did I really didn't deserve. He just did it anyway. There's some places I really shouldn't be at. He just put me there anyway. I can't be the only one in here to testify that you ain't got grace just following you. You got mercy following you. And before you thank God for the favor of grace, you ought to shout sometime for the pity of mercy, because he didn't have to do it. But thank God that he did. I got to have at least 20 of y'all in here. I'll make 21 that ought to be able to testify everything in your life you didn't ask for, you didn't deserve it, but the Lord gave you some mercy. And when you look at it at verse 8, and I can't stay there, but if you look at verse 8 and then look back at verse 7, you can really thank God for the disappointments, because if it wasn't for the disappointments, you wouldn't have got the deliverance. If he would have got in the pool, he would have got the power, but he wouldn't have met the person. And because he got the disappointment, he got the power and the person. Because the real shout ain't what Jesus did at the pool. The real shout is when he met him in the temple. Because it ain't good enough just to have an encounter with him. I want to have a relationship with him. I just don't want his power. I want to be with the person. Because if I keep the person, I'm going to always have the power. So instead of being mad about what you didn't get, you ought to thank God you didn't get it. Because if you would have got it then, you wouldn't have what you got right now. I'm stopping. There's a story. I'm reminded of it as I go to my seat. There was this man that was extremely blessed. lived in this beautiful home. He worked on a wonderful, tremendous job. Had a wife, no children. Was always the picture of health. And he was a child of God. Every time he came to church, he made sure to worship, praise, and thank God for his mercy. But just like anybody else, one day trouble found the man. He went into work one day and found out that the company that he had worked for so long was downsizing. And they were eliminating his position. And he was terminated immediately. When the man went to church that Sunday, they said, well, we know the brother is going to be down today. And he's probably not going to be in the same worshiping spirit that he's usually in. But the man came to church that Sunday still shouting, praising God, and telling God, thank you for your mercy. A few weeks later, because the man no longer had the job he was working on, finances started catching up with him. He lost his home. His car got repossessed. When he came to church that Sunday, when they had got word what had happened to him, they said, well, we know the brother can't be in the same usual worshiping spirit this Sunday. So they were ready to encourage him. But he was still at church worshiping, praising God, and saying, thank God for your mercy. One day, when he came home to his little one-room apartment, instead of finding his wife, he found a Dear John letter. The letter wrote, I'm tired of being married to a broke man because I married a rich man and I'm leaving you for another man. They said there's no way in the world the man was still be in the worshiping spirit. But that Sunday, he came to church still worshiping, praising God, and saying, Lord, thank God for your mercy. This went on for several years. But finally, things got better for the man. The man finally found another job. But this job was better than the one he had lost. It had a bigger salary. It had bigger benefits. And because it had a better situation, he did not go back and get the same house he lost, but he went and got a bigger house. Ain't the Lord all right? Cause the man had a bigger job and bought a bigger house. He did not go back to the car dealership and buy the same kind of car, but the man went back and bought a bigger car. Ain't he all right? By this time he has got remarried, but he didn't marry the woman when he had got back on his feet. But while he was still down in his valley of trouble, he met the woman, and the woman didn't fall in love with his money. She fell in love with the man, and they were pregnant with their first child. Ain't the Lord all right? And through all of this, is he was still coming to church, worshiping and praising God and yelling out, thank God for your mercy. Ain't the Lord all right? That one day the same brothers that was waiting to encourage him said to him that day, I understand why you shout so much. If I had all what you had, brother, you don't understand the reason why I'm shouting. I ain't shouting because of what I have. I'm shouting because of what I lost. Ain't the Lord all right? If I wouldn't have lost the old job, I wouldn't have been looking for this one. If I wouldn't have lost my old house, I wouldn't have needed this house. If I would have still driving my old car, I wouldn't have been in the market for this car. If I was married to my old wife, I wouldn't have been available when I met this wife. I ain't praising God for what I have. I'm praising God for what I lost. The man got happy, walked away from the mirror, shouting all over again, and started singing his testimony song. You don't know like I know what the Lord has done for me. Ain't he all right? I'm gone now, children. I'm through with y'all tonight, but I got to tell you, if you look at the text, the man got up, the man put his bed on his shoulder, but the Bethesda didn't leave him, but he walked away from Bethesda. In other words, Pastor Fields, he moved on. Ain't he all right? That's what I gotta leave you with. I gotta tell somebody it's gonna get better for you, but all you gotta do is move on. Ain't he all right, y'all? How do I know it? Cause I got a Savior that made it better. He had his Bethesda one Friday morning when they put a cross upon his shoulder. They marched up Calvary Mountain. I got to quit here. Good evening, y'all. God bless your heart. I got to leave you now, but before I go, I got one more thing I got to tell you. He handled his Bethesda. They nailed his hand, riveted his feet, hung him high, spreading him wide. He made it better. How do you know he made it better? Cause it was at the cross, where I first saw the light and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I'm happy all the day. You know what he did, Cherry Grove? He died. Anybody know he died? They laid him down in a borrowed tomb. But thank God for Jesus. He made it better. I said earlier, Sunday morning, got out the grave, heard him saying, I got all power, all power, all power, all power. Ain't he all right, y'all? Ain't he all right? Anybody here believe in your heart Your Sunday morning is coming. It's gonna get better. Ain't it all right? Wish I had a witness here. Turn to your neighbor. Hold their hand. I said hold their hand. Hold it real good. Hold it real firm. Give it a good shake. And say, neighbor, don't worry about it. Let it go. Sunday is coming. It's gonna get better. 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 Ain't he all right? I need one more witness. Turn to your other neighbor. Put your arms around them. Hold them like you love them. Hold them real close. Hold them real tight. Hold them like a child of God. And say, neighbor, shout with me, praise him with me. I just got good news. It's gonna get better. 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 Yeah. 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 Can anybody thank him? Can anybody praise him? Can anybody give him glory? You ought to tell 3 people it's gonna get better. It is, it is. It is, it is. It is, it is. Ooh, Can anybody praise him? Can anybody thank him? Thank God for mercy. You don't deserve it, but it's gonna get better. Really shouldn't get it, but it's gonna get better. And since you believe it, tell him thank you. Oh, I know you ain't got it yet, but it's on the way. Tell him thank you. It's about to get better. Your marriage gonna get better. Health gonna get better. Mind gonna get better. Job gonna get better. Friends gonna get better. Ministry gonna get better. Church gonna get better. Tell him thank you.